Yeah, she's got some nice long hair.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button too if you listen to podcasts. Just search for the Unbearable Sports Podcast. Please rate 5 stars. It helps us out tremendously. And tell your friends. We love it when we have this kind of community. Tell your friends about us. Helps out tremendously. We're brought to you by BetUS. Use promo code UNBEARABLE to get 125% back on your first deposit. Mr. Johnny PayPal, welcome to the live Sunday shows. This is your first since like a year ago. How does it feel?
It feels great. It feels great. I mean, it felt like nothing's changed, you know? And nothing's changed, Brad. Nothing's changed.
That's great. That's great to hear. So today we might be changing some stuff around, I think, today, because we are regrading the 2022 draft. The first draft for GM Ryan Poles. We're going to be breaking it down today, breaking down some of these draft picks, also bringing up some of the draft grades that I gave this draft class to see, what I think about it as well. And we'll be bringing this up. There might be some people that we bury and say they're done. And there might be some people that we say, wait till next year. It's going to be an awesome show, but let's get this started. Let's transport back to 2022, April 28th. I know that because it's my birthday and we were out in a hotel and we upgraded our room just so I could watch the draft, just so I could watch everything while the kids are in the other room. And I love it. I love it. And I felt like the Bears did well. When they went in during that day, they ended up having only 5. Actually, they had 6 draft picks. But before that, they had 5 draft picks. They had a second, they had a third, they had 2 5s, and a 6. Absolutely terrible, PayPal. But GM Ryan Poles traded away Khalil Mack, and we got the 48th pick in the draft. Then, throughout the draft, he was making deals. He was trading down. So his first trade was he traded the 6th round pick and then got a 7th round pick, or 2 7ths later on. Actually, never mind. That was the latest one. The first one was the Bears traded their 5th round pick, and Cincinnati traded their 5th round pick, which was 174, and we got their 7th rounder. The next trade was we traded our 5th rounder, the 150, and then we got Houston's 5th and their 6th. We got another trade. We traded another 5th for a 5th, 168, and 6th rounder, and we traded a 6th rounder in 2023 for Los Angeles's 2 7th round draft picks. A lot of stuff. But basically, what it turned into is we ended up having a lot of picks rather than just having the 5 picks. So, PayPal, first off, what did you think of this wizardry? Did you like it? Were you a fan of it?
Oh my gosh. Like, I know we're, a little preview, I guess, for our next show, but we might be talking a little about Ryan Poles. And this was like the get-go. It's like he is a wizard of getting value out of every single thing. And I think we'll really see it even more in the free agency market coming this year with all this money he has. That's a different show to talk about. but yeah, I loved how like you look at that graphic, and honestly, I'm thinking like I think it's such a cool graphic, really seeing it visually. And I'm just like, how did that left side of having 5 picks and then we got 12 or something, or 10 or something, and just like doubled it. Sure, it's a lot of 6 and 7, so people can be like, hey, those were like worthless picks, but it's better than having 5 picks that we had 2 seconds, and it doubled our draft, and you get stuff. And we'll talk about who we got from these picks, but I thought it was very impressive from the get-go.
And we talked about this, like, actually right after the draft, I brought this up, where it's about the number of lottery tickets you have, right? The draft is a gigantic lottery, so we were able to trade down and get some draft picks. So what that turned into, 11 draft picks, going through this, we had our first pick was Kyler Gordon, followed up by Jaquan Brisker, then VELUS Jones at pick 71, Braxton Jones at pick 168 in the 5th round. Dominique Robinson followed that up at pick 174 in the 5th round. Then we had 3 6th-round picks with Zachary Thomas, Treston Ebner, and Doug Kramer. And then in the 7th round, we ended up rounding it out with Jatyree Carter, Elijah Hicks, and Trenton Gill. So that's what it ended up turning into. So we had a lot of bites at the apple, a lot of different attempts to try and really kind of solidify the line, I feel, with this. And
Yeah.
my initial reaction, my initial grade, so let the record show, I gave it a B at first. And then I kind of talked myself into going, you know what? Because of how he traded, I gave it a B plus because that was my initial grade. Because I said, I like Brisker. I didn't love Gordon, but I liked that I understood what they were doing because it didn't seem like there was a good corner after Gordon. So I understood what they were trying to accomplish there and liked Braxton Jones, liked Dominique Robinson, and liked some of the depth that they were acquiring at the very end of the rounds. I didn't like the VELUS Jones pick because I thought he was a sleeper in the 5th round, but I thought 3rd round was a little bit high for him. So overall, I gave it a B plus. But PayPal, what was your initial feeling? And people in the comments too, the Twitter, I mean not Twitter, the YouTube squad. What did people feel about this draft?
Yeah, it's like what you said. Like, it's nice having that diverse. Like, we at least have a lot of picks to choose from because having 5, it's the odds of hitting just 5 picks, I feel like is so low, and kind of getting all those picks really increases those odds of getting at least like a substitution or a starter, a potential starter, or even just like a special teamer. And yeah, my first thing, I mean, Jaquan Brisker was that guy. I was like, I had that feeling of like, this guy he's gonna be good. And I felt the same with Gordon. Gordon, I was just like, he kind of picked too high. Like I see his athleticism. He had that funny YouTube like Instagram video of when he got drafted and stuff. He started doing push-ups and it was
That
all
was
over the
Hicks.
place.
That was Hicks.
Oh, that was Hicks.
Yeah.
That was Elijah Hicks.
Yeah.
Well, I really liked Elijah Hicks then. Gosh, that felt so long ago. But yeah, it was there was nothing. Dominique Robinson was one of those, very interesting. Like, I thought that was a really good 5th round pick of that prototype. It's like you got something to build on. And of course, Ebner was that guy I was like so excited for. I was hoping in the 6th round we were gonna get that one punter, Matt Ariza.
Matt Ariza.
The one that
Punt
got
God.
punt god, that one that just got kicked out of the league. But apparently he might be coming soon. But we got Trenton Gill, and I was like, okay, at least we got a special teamer at least.
Exactly. So we'll be breaking down all these players now. So we'll be diving into it. So it still was that good feeling, right? We had the selections, we had a lot of that. And one thing we're going to be covering later on, some undrafted rookie free agents, because that's another thing that polls did very well. That we have to touch on, and we have to kind of lump into this class as well, because what he was able to do. And more than just Sanborn. So we gotta touch base on a couple other people too. But let's start with their first pick. At pick 39, the Chicago Bears selected Kyler Gordon, cornerback out of Washington. He ended the season with 3 interceptions, 71 tackles, 1 forced fumble, and 6 passes defense. So PayPal, we kind of know Kyler Gordon, the athlete coming out, struggled with eyes in college, like kind of struggled with the feel of coverage, but now has had a strong second half of the season. And Poles and Cunningham felt that he was a first round talent that they were able to get in the second. So, PayPal, how are you feeling right now about this pick of Kyler Gordon? Are we feeling good? Are we feeling bad? Or are we kind of in the middle?
Yeah, it's weird just because he was pretty he started out so rough, and that's where we talk about it. It's like he was that athlete. Like, he had that 5-star athlete, like that first round athleticism, but it was kind of just did he have the knowledge and everything? So we could see that from the get-go starting the season. And I don't know. I honestly kind of felt higher near the end of the season with him because my hopes for him when we drafted him weren't very high. So it rose for me, honestly. Like at the end of the season, he kind of seemed like that guy. He had multiple interceptions and he just looked so confident out there. So I'm excited for Kyler Gordon into this next year. And I thought it was a good pick.
All right. And J Rock in the comments is feeling down about Kyler Gordon, and also Ron saying Bears control the draft. Better believe we do. But also too, for all those subscribing, what we have following up on Thursday, we're actually going to be breaking down Ryan Poles, the good and the bad. So we're going to be taking two sides, pumping him up also tearing him down, so that we can hopefully get a realistic view on Ryan Poles and real talk about Ryan Poles. So
Yeah.
let's go in to for me, like I've talked about this. I was not super high on Kyler Gordon. And I kind of agree a little bit with J Rock, where he's a little down on Kyler Gordon. I wouldn't say I'm down on him, but I'm kind of in the middle, right? Because he finished the season well, which is good, which you want to see. But a lot of the stuff that I was nervous about coming out of Washington, I was a little bit nervous. I haven't seen that yet. You see the athletic traits, you see the ball production, 6 pass defense. That's really good. And I just feel like you need to stick him out of position, try and get a Jamel Dean or someone like that that can play the starting outside guy. And you say, Kyler Gordon, you're a starting slot. So overall, I don't love it, but it's still, I don't love the pick, but I'm right in the middle where it's a high pick. And another reason why I also liked it was it seemed like the corners were not a lot better after Kyler Gordon. He seemed to be the last of that first to second round, high second pick, and then you had others. And yes, there was others that emerged, but that's kind of how the draft works. You break it down into tiers. They got the last one out there. So I agree with what they did, but I don't love, like, I'm not saying he's the corner of the future, but still.
I agree.
But let's go over to the one I think we're all excited about. Jake Capone's excited about this too. Jaquan Brisker, pick number 48 out of Penn State, 6'1", 200 pounds, 104 tackles last season at the safety position, and led the team with 4 sacks. Overall, when he was coming out, was billed as a do-it-all safety, but overall, he just he was kind of inconsistent with some of what he was doing out there. That's what caused him to fall to the second. He also isn't this big physical presence at 6'1", 200, not giant, not small, not blazing fast, not absolute huge. So that's why he was right in the middle. But also, PFF, we mentioned this before, had 3 Bears rookies on their all-rookie team. This is one of them. Jaquan Brisker named to the all-rookie team according to PFF, 39th best safety they ranked out there. But really, I felt he played the best when Eddie Jackson was out there. And to me, up, down, or in the middle, I'm feeling up. To me, there's no question he's the safety of the future. Not saying he's going to be a star anytime. Not saying he's going to be the next superstar, the next greatest safety in the league. But to me, he gives you that floor of being a very good safety for you, a no questions asked starter. And I'm feeling up. What about you, PayPal?
Oh, yeah. I honestly would go that far in saying that he is kind of the star that we will that will emerge, because this is his first year and he was balling out from the get-go. And yeah, I mean, it's the thing. It's like, was it just because Eddie Jackson was there? Because we did see that kind of downfall near the end of the season. But like, it's funny just, hearing the down, like people are saying, oh, he wasn't too big. He wasn't that fast. And you feel his presence, that's something that I guess those scouts didn't actually go to a game and see him because he is always at the ball. He's always, hit sticking guys, trying to get the ball loose. He had 4 sacks, which is nuts for a
Yeah.
safety in his first year, and just really shows how important he is to this defense and versatile he is. Like he's playing in the box, he's also playing up, and I am so high on this pick, and it was one of those picks when we got him. Something felt right with him. He had that swag. His highlights were insane.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. We're feeling high about this. And also too, I see it out in the comments, Ron saying, safety shouldn't lead their team in sacks. The last time that actually happened was Jamal Adams, when a rookie safety led their team, and that was for the Seattle Seahawks. So
it was like 2-3 years ago, maybe.
Actually, like 6 or so. Like he's been in the league now a lot longer. Yeah. Jeremy's also saying in the comments, he's excited about this offseason. Totally agree with you out there. And J-Rock saying D-line coach needs to be fired. Amen. I'm surprised they haven't done anything. I know that they want to try something out there. Man, this D-line has not looked good. Jeremy agrees in the comments as well. But let's go. We're feeling high with this. Let's go to the 3rd round pick, Mr. VELUS Jones Jr., wide receiver, 6 foot, 200 pounds, 7 receptions this year for 107 yards. But he also had 103 rushing yards, 2 total touchdowns. Pick number 71. Rumor was that Justin Fields really liked him, really liked the speed that was coming out. But honestly, a lot of draft analysts saying this was a reach, billed as a 5th round prospect. Really kind of that fast, straight line guy. I always comp him to Cordero Patterson-Light. Seems like a very good comp to this day. But throughout the season, bobbled some punts and then was relieved of that duty because of the inconsistencies at yet again, another rookie that kind of put some stuff together at the end of the season. How are we feeling? Feeling up, feeling down, or feeling in between? Hey, pal?
Yeah. This was a tough one. I think this was just a bad, that's what you said. We shouldn't have wasted a 3rd round pick on him. We should have waited a little bit. And maybe we didn't think that we could get him in the 5th round. I mean, we didn't have a 4th. So it was like maybe we just had to get him. And if Justin Fields liked him, he's the face of the franchise. So like, all right, we'll reach for him, But yeah, he didn't really prove this is Justin's guy or anything. But near the end of the season, you could see his speed. You could see this athletic, this freak of an athlete. So this would have been way down, earlier in the season, but this is another, I'm like kind of down, but I'm kind of in the middle. Like I think I'm a VELUS Jones. Like I'm not in his hate club. I feel like a lot of people are like anti VELUS Jones, but I think he really showed some spunk near the end of the season, and I could see him kicking it off next year. Like with rookies, you just need confidence. You need to get out of that shell, and then I feel like once they break out, they will, they're a lot more comfortable in the league.
I see you. I see you there. And to me, I'm kind of right there with you where I'm not feeling good. I hate that it's coming down to this, right? His biggest thing was he wasn't quick. He's fast, but he's not quick.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you watch some of his tape, and even today, if you watch his games, he's not juking laterally, right? He's going north to south. He's running straight lines. He's beating people with his speed. And you need that quickness, that lateral agility if you want to be a wide receiver. And I remember in training camp, he was beating people because of his pure speed. Like he would start and stop and then just book it. And that's
DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is the exception, though.
He is.
He was those guys. Everyone's like, he's not gonna be good. He can't move laterally. He can only move in the straight line. But also, he's DK Metcalf, and he's massive.
And why I'm feeling a little down on him is because right now he feels like he's just going to be a weapon. That's what we were talking about at the beginning of the season. But now I don't feel confident in him as a wide receiver, right? I don't think anybody here would confidently say, you know what we should do? We should keep VELUS Jones Jr. as our third string wide receiver, right? I don't think anyone's out there to like preach that. But we
Yeah.
would like to see him as a weapon. And I think if you're drafting someone like that in the third, it's kind of a luxury. But I think that's ultimately what he's going to become out here as a whole. So let's see what we can do. Let's see the next pick. And I gotta say too, this is something that I'm really excited about. When I switch over to the next pick, we go all the way down to the 5th round. Like we said, we were making a lot of trades, wheeling and dealing, and we pick up Braxton Jones, offensive tackle out of Southern Utah, 6'5", 310. And this guy impressed, right? He impressed in the Senior Bowl, and that's why he was able to get drafted a little bit higher. Poles saw him, really, really liked him. A lot of the people they drafted were actually from the Senior Bowl that actually impressed out there. So that's something that just for us to look at. We'll be covering the Senior Bowl, so you want to stay tuned because we'll be breaking down people to be looking at and who impressed. But overall, PFF ranked him as the 20th best offensive tackle in the league. That includes left tackles, that includes right tackles. So basically a fringe top 10 left tackle is what I'm hearing out of this. Phenomenal year, only allowed 7 sacks. Not bad for a rookie in the 5th round, pick 168. Fell in the draft because of his small school that he was going to. Didn't miss a snap. We mentioned that last show. And just overall looked good, was added to the PFF all-rookie team. He was that second person. But PayPal, I'm feeling up about this because whether he's the left tackle or whether he's the right tackle, I think that's something we need to consider. I would like him to stay at left tackle. And yet again, this isn't me saying he's going to be a superstar. This is me saying he looked good. And you see a lot of tackles, a lot of offensive linemen. The Andrew Thomas from the Giants didn't get it together until his 3rd year. It's a fast position. He has to learn. And you saw that progression throughout the year, and then he hit the rookie wall, right? So that's why I feel optimistic about Braxton Jones. I feel up about him going into the future. PayPal, what say you?
Yeah, he has the right attitude with it all. Like he's not like, oh my God, I have the best, I'm like had an amazing year, and he like just settles with that. He's looking to the next thing to get better. And like I think you said before, it's like he's a great locker room guy. Everyone loves him. He's so smart and everything. And Ryan Poles like almost sees a lot in him. Like how Ryan Poles used to play. He kind of reminded of him, which is kind of sad because Ryan Poles really didn't play very well. Like he didn't play much, but yeah, Braxton Jones, I think this is the pick of the draft. I mean, get this guy in the 5th round. And honestly, it's like overall, he was probably one of the best offensive linemen on our team. Like Tevin Jenkins was the best. He peaked the best, but just because he got injured. Braxton Jones played the entire season, which is just so impressive with his first year, and like just blew everyone away. Like he had crazy guys he had to go against and did not, let up any big games against him. They were all shut down pretty well.
And here's the thing that's so impressive. This tackle class, people were talking about Charles Cross. People were talking about Menahue. I'm blanking on his name. And then there were so many tackles that people were going crazy about. Evan Neal, right? And here's Braxton Jones outplaying all of those players this year. Phenomenal run blocker is exactly what we need. And he's got the length. That's the reason why a lot of people were looking at him early was there's this 6'5", long arms frame. He's going to be a tackle. Great pick. To me, the steal of the draft. Like, regardless, you don't see this level of tackle play and this level of potential at this round, right? Abe Lucas, everybody wants to preach about out of Seattle. He was a 3rd round pick. This guy 2 rounds later gets drafted and plays phenomenally, absolutely phenomenally amazing. But let's go to our second 5th round pick. Second, 5th round pick, Dominique Robinson, defensive end out of Miami, Ohio, 6'5", 253. So 253, good size for him. Pick 174, billed as the athlete coming out. Fell since he didn't play much at D end. It seemed he was the guy that everyone's like, he was a quarterback and he played this and he always did every other position besides defensive end. But he was the athlete. He was quick. He impressed, right? And he was thrusted into the starting lineup this year, only got 1.5 sacks, and really seemed to struggle with this starting job. PayPal, you feeling up, you feeling down, or you feeling right in the middle?
It's a 5th round, and this is where it's the point. It's like, it's a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
And this is where you get in the territory of like, getting the prototypes and getting those, the guys that are in small schools where it's like, okay, can they do it in the pro level? I think this is like a medium. It's right in the middle for me. Dominique Robinson's not like he completely impressed. Like, he looked good in the beginning of the season. It was like, oh my gosh, this is the guy that will get sacks on this team. And the whole D line just completely shut down after that. Maybe I don't think he's going to be starting anytime soon, but we'll see him probably be that rotational pass rusher. I don't think he's going to be really put in run defense as much, but I'm fine with that. He's got potential, and I think honestly, learning all those different positions, I think he'll pick up this position sooner or later this offseason.
Yeah, and I love what you said. This is a 5th round pick, right? Like, this is a 5th round pick, and overall, like, we just have to keep that in mind. And this is someone that was supposed to be redshirted this year, essentially, and not play a snap because he's never really played defensive end, and he impressed in the preseason and ultimately did not play well, right?
Yeah.
And so now we just have to wait and see next season. Hopefully he can get something in, like get some more work in. But still, we talked about this earlier, the defensive line coaching. Is this actually a problem with this? If you have good coaching, he needs to be coached up. Teach this guy how to play the position. He should be a backup for you. So overall, that's kind of the feeling with Dominique Robinson. But PayPal, it feels good so far. Like, when I was putting these graphics together and kind of prepping for the show, like Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, VELUS Jones, Braxton Jones, and Dominique Robinson, that feels good for having 2 seconds, a third, and 2 fifths, right?
Yeah.
Like, it feels good because especially Braxton Jones and Dominique Robinson being able to contribute. Dominique Robinson not probably going to be a starter moving forward, but Braxton Jones being a starter, Jaquan Brisker being a starter, Kyler Gordon still kind of up in the air. I mean, he's going to be a starter, but he still was proving it later on. We'll just have to see in the future. VELUS most likely not going to be a starter, but
on
most
special
likely
teams, a starter. But
that isn't terrible. But now we get to the later picks, right? We stacked up these later picks. We wanted to see what we can do for this. I don't have graphics on these because these are probably going to be quick. We drafted Zachary Thomas, round 6, 186, no longer on the team. If everyone's like, oh yeah, I forgot, he was the guard out of San Diego State, not on the team anymore. He was picked up, I believe, by the Steelers, maybe, but not on the team. Not going to be a Bear. Now we go to Cement Shoes Ebner. The name says it all at pick 203. Hey, pal, I know that this was your boy. You're going down with the 2 thumbs. Yeah.
He was my big disappointment. You know, if you guys watched last show, he was the one guy, like, personally for me, I was like, what a steal in the 6th round. So many things were going in my head of like he was the guy I wanted to see when we went to the training camp. And I was still impressed at training camp. And I was like, this guy is going to be so fun to watch in preseason. And then nothing happened in preseason. And then even worse stuff happened in the regular season. And it was horrendous. And this pick, and honestly, with these six round pick spread, I'm just going to say it. I mean, we haven't said the last guy yet, but maybe Poles just gets rid of all of his 6th-round picks
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then trades them and, get a 5th or, just get 7th rounds or something.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I'd rather miss in the 6th round than the 1st round, right? We haven't seen a
Yeah.
1st round pick from Ryan Poles, but we know Ryan Pace could not hit on the 1st round pick unless it was hand gifted to him in the shape of Roquan Smith, where it's like, you pick him, otherwise, like, you suck.
Yeah.
So, yeah, then the last 6th round pick, Doug Kramer, pick 207, center out of Illinois. I'll say a little bit on him because he was on IR, so we did not see much. But I will say that the whole thing with him coming out was he's a super undersized center, but he's smart. He was a 5-year starter, played very well. But overall, I don't feel great about it because when we saw him in preseason, he was getting destroyed. We thought that Musty gets pushed around. Doug Kramer's getting shoved around like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where I don't get a lot of confidence about it. And that's where, yeah, it's I think, yeah, the 6th round picks overall as a whole, Ebner, Kramer, Thomas, didn't work out. But this is the reason why you draft multiple offensive linemen. We said it. It was probably one was going to hit, and then one was going to be a backup, and then 2 were going to be bad, right? And that's Zachary Thomas, not on the team anymore, and most likely Doug Kramer. I hate saying that because we haven't seen an actual season out of him, but he didn't look good in preseason. But that brings us to the 7th round, right? And maybe forget the 6th round. Let's go to the 7th round. 7th round, Tyree Carter comes in, right? Out of Southern. And pick 226 has been a backup, right? And in the limited snaps has looked good. But PayPal, how are you feeling about Carter? What do you think his role is in the future?
A 7th round pick and you get a backup, I think that's a win. I think that's a win in any circumstance. You get a guy that's getting paid nothing and he's going to be a backup. I couldn't see him, ever really being a starter on this team or anything, but he's got that versatility that we've kind of like seen. Like he can kind of play guard spots, and in preseason he got I remember you were kind of really high on him. I mean, preseason he looked pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm high on him. I think it's a great pick from what we've seen so far from him.
And that's where I think Tyree Carter makes the Bears have to make a decision on Alex Leatherwood this offseason, right? Because Leatherwood might be a guard, and Tyree Carter seems to be a backup guard, right? I don't expect him to start, but I expect him as a backup because of what he was able to do, what he looked like in the preseason, which is incredible for a 7th round pick. And I like it. I really do like it. But I also want to call attention to what's going on in the comments. Richard Long was saying Bears need a hybrid wide receiver running back to replace Ebner. And Michael, I love this. Michael in the comments saying Deuce Vaughn in the 5th. I love Deuce because he reminds me of Tariq Cohen. He reminds me of that quick, that speed. I absolutely love that. I love that out there. And he's someone you can get late. And for those that haven't seen Deuce Vaughn, look at the clips, Deuce Vaughn out of Kansas State, and you'll be like, oh man, he is fast. He is speedy.
Gotta check that out.
Looks like Tariq Cohen. Like, seriously, Tariq Cohen is the comp. He doesn't go like cross fields as much as Tariq Cohen. He still does, but he's more of just like an in between the tackles, leverages his size. But yeah, but also I agree with Michael a little bit with his too. Leatherwood, it looks like they took it as an experiment, but if they cut him, they're going to eat some of that cap. So we'll see what they end up doing. Yeah, Iceberg Slim agrees with us. We got to get more 7th rounders out here because the next 7th was Elijah Hicks, the safety out of Cal, Mr. Push-Ups when he gets drafted. And PayPal, you're kind of the backup safety lover out here. Like you love DHC, you love Deion Bush. What you feeling about Elijah Hicks? Feeling up, feeling down?
Hey, when you have a guy doing push-ups, after, and he's got the, honestly, just having those vibes around the locker room. I feel like I'm always a big vibe guy when it comes to someone. Like if they bring a positivity into the locker room, that's a win in itself. Like if they come in and they think they're higher than everyone else, then like that's a big negative. Like you see it in the Jets quarterback,
Yeah.
Wilson. But Elijah Hicks, I mean, he was fun from the start. We saw him near the end of the season when we got some injuries. I didn't think he looked very good. I mean, from what it seemed like he kind of missed some assignments, and a lot of deep balls were kind of thrown his way. But hey, maybe that's just something he has to learn. And like with all these rookies, it seemed like they really had a bad game, and then they had to learn from it. Braxton Jones as basically the only exception, and Brisker, we didn't see that drastic mistake from him as much. Elijah Hicks, 7th round, I think good pick.
I agree. To me, Hicks strikes me as a backup / practice squad guy, right? And just kind of solidified that. Ended the season with 28 tackles, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. So not so bad for a very, very end of the 7th round type of pick. 5'11", 200. Lots of question about his high-end athleticism. But let's go to the man. The next 7th round pick, the man, the myth, the legend, the Trenton Gill. Trenton Gill, the punter. He gets his own player profile card. The guillotine. The punter out of NC State, 6'4", 216, heavier than all the defensive backs that we drafted. He had 66 punts, averaging 46 yards per punt, and had about 20 of them inside of the 20, so about a 30% clip there. His net was about 40.3. And when we drafted him, there was a decent amount of criticism just from people being like, a punter in the 7th? It's the 7th round, guys. Like it. And honestly, yeah. I loved it. I posted out that I love this because you are paying this guy under $1 million for the next 4 years. Big brain move from Ryan Poles when he did this. And it's a punter. Right? And I don't know how much more we could talk about this, but I like him. He's the punter for the next 4 years.
Yeah. I think what really proved me was, I think we all kind of like Pat O'Donnell. Like he was kind of that swaggy punter, like Trenton Gill. He's like that big nerd, like that name. You're like, you would never really be like, hey, I'm friends with Trenton Gill. It's like, it sounds like a nerd you're friends with. But
yeah,
hey, I didn't know. It was like that. When we faced the Packers, I think that really showed us like good thing we're not spending all this money for Pat O'Donnell because Trenton Gill is better than him. So I think we upgraded first, not paying him that much, and then also just he's a better punter than O'Donnell. And also, who knew he's a unit? He's 6'4", 216.
Right?
Man, hey, Trenton Gill. We gotta see him laying out some guys.
Yeah, like it might be a little flubber in there, and but still, like 216, a dude, like come on. And J-Rock out here saying need a kicker this year. We'll see what they do. I think they definitely need to sign a UDFA, create some competition. Little competition, especially in special teams, ain't bad. And that's why I thought it was interesting. The Bears didn't bring much competition in for the punter, so you already knew they liked what they saw out of Trenton Gill. Or maybe they said, you know what? It's a punter. We don't really care all that much. So we'll see what they ended up doing. But PayPal, let's not hit the revisions on these grades quite yet, because there's a couple more things that we're going to need to do. So let's go over to the undrafted rookie free agents that we brought in. And there's one guy that we have to add in. And that is the favorite of the show, Jack Sanborn, 6'2", 234, linebacker out of Wisconsin. We've already sung his praises. He had 3.5 run stuffs, 2 sacks, 64 tackles in 6 starts. Actually, 64 tackles was spread out farther, but he started 6 games, undrafted. And why did he drop? Why did he go undrafted? He was a full speed run defender at Wisconsin. People praised that he was able to hit the gaps and blow up plays, but went undrafted due to his athletic profile. Short arms, wasn't seen as a good coverage guy. That's ultimately the reason why he went undrafted. And he's only 6'2", right? They might have maybe wanted him a little bit taller, faster, bigger, whatever it was. He fell because of it. He was added to the PFF All-Rookie team. He was ranked the 40th best linebacker out of 84 assessed.
Wow.
And I love this stat that I threw out there on Twitter. Defense averaged 4.12 rushing yards when he started, which was top 10 in the league. Hey, pal.
Brad, yeah. Hey,
Easy
up. I mean, like, I think, I don't know when exactly I kind of said this, but and I think Sanborn really just shows there's nothing that really, like, yeah, he's not a freak of nature or anything. He does his job, and his teammates love that. I feel like I would love playing next to Sanborn. Like, he does his job, he fills his gap, and that's all he does, and he makes a tackle. Like, he doesn't do anything crazy, he just does his job, and that's why he's doing so darn well. Like,
Yeah.
we see it with Morrow. Morrow tries to do something more than his job. He tries to use his speed and his athleticism to do something. But Sanborn, his play recognition is something like that, I guess, was not valued in his draft, process, because he reads offenses so well. And I can agree with Iceberg Slim. Like, he can be one of the top linebackers in the league, just how he played. And like you said, like, how big our defense was affected when he was out. I mean, he was something special to be watched. And, on Wisconsin with,
Oh, agreed. And I think it's easy. But PayPal, one last question about him. Do you think that he is the linebacker of the future? Would you
Oh, yeah.
sign another linebacker? Okay. There we go.
I think he's the linebacker of the future. Obviously, we'll see where he plays. I like him at the middle of the gang, because he's so he can recognize the play. He is that run stuffer. He's not as athletic, so I kind of like him in the middle. And then, yeah, get two linebackers outside of him, because we need some good guys around him.
Yeah, I still like the idea of bringing in two linebackers. One can be a backup, and then the other one can be like one could be the Sam, and the other one can be like the starter, the weak side or middle. But Sanborn seems to be the guy. Like, yeah, I'm excited about it for sure. But let's go over and talk a little bit about more of the undrafted rookie free agents. So Sanborn obviously is the headliner, but if we switch over to what everyone else has been doing, what are the other people that we've added in? The starters, the people that have actually made the active team. We saw Josh Blackwell, the nickel corner. We saw Jake Tonjes, the tight end. We also saw AJ Thomas, the safety, Sterling Weatherford, the linebacker slash special teamer, and Jalen Jones. And Chase Allen, another tight end, was out there every now and again. Didn't see much of him, though. And then on the practice squad, kind of permanent practice squad people, Keong Dang and Kellen Deesh out of Arizona State, and Donovan Jeter. To be honest, don't know much about Donovan Jeter, except he's a D lineman out of Michigan. And Dang, linebacker out of California, did not see much of him out there as well. But somebody that I really like that the Bears signed was Kellen Deesh out of Arizona State. Lightweight, 6'7", 300-pound offensive tackle. I thought that he could have been a good addition, but ultimately we did not see much of him out there. But PayPal, is there anybody else that kind of sticks out to you out of this? I kind of lump them in as UDFAs, even though some of them were drafted. They were just people that polls kind of accumulated throughout the year.
Yeah, I think Jalen Jones and Josh Blackwell. I think Blackwell was kind of our, one of our fan favorites out there, and he almost got the favorite player in our award show last week, or last show. But I mean, because he just showed his special teams. Like, you really love to see. You can see someone's like heart, and you can see when they play with their full like passion and effort out there. And he was one of those guys, and you just hope that he that can stay with this team, and it seems like he will just solely his effort on special teams.
Yeah, and exactly. I think a lot of these guys are special teamers. Jalen Jones, Blackwell, probably some backup corners that are going to be fighting for positions, depending on if we are adding anybody else in. Other people that I want to call attention to: Jake Tonjes and Chase Allen. Jake Tonjes made the active roster. Big surprise as a backup fullback, and backup
Yeah.
fullback, tight end, and I just want to call attention to that because he's someone that I think can be that backup and quietly stay on this team for quite some time, like a Ben Broniker, um, right? Somebody who's on this team that it makes appearances every now and again. Chase Allen was also someone that was a big body 6'6" tight end from Iowa State, seen as a red zone target that I still think I really like the idea of him staying on this team. And Sterling Weatherford, we didn't see him start, so it kind of shows what the Bears think as a linebacker, but I still think he's going to be someone this preseason we're going to be pounding the table for, right? As someone to
Yep.
watch because he looked very good for the Colts, and that's why the Bears ended up picking him up. Sterling Weatherford, linebacker, good player, good. They like him as the special teamer. So ultimately, I think that's where he's probably going to be in the future of this Bears. But I will say one thing about Poles with this. I liked how he attacked this UDFA class and a lot of these people. He needed to grow this team. He needed to build this team. And I think ultimately he did that with adding a lot of these big names like Chase Allen and Jack Sanborn were people that were supposed to be drafted, and he was able to bring them in and give them a chance. So overall, really, really like that.
Hey, well, I think that's something we'll talk about in our next show with, talking about Ryan Poles and, if we like him or not. But he just this entire year, he showed you how much he just tries. And it's like getting all these picks, he could have just taken the easy thing and be like, I'm just gonna be passive and not get anyone upset and just kind of keep our picks. Like, he's his first year and he's just gonna be passive. No, he is aggressive. He gets all these picks. He brings in all these guys. And sure, yeah, if you get like one person in all these like undrafted, like, or if you get no one, at least you tried something, or at least you tried these guys out. And we saw it during the entire season that he was just bringing these guys in, and but hey,
I like
that's another show
Yeah.
we can talk about, Ryan Poles and
That's the
his
Thursday
aggressiveness.
show. That's the Thursday
Yes.
show, the Ryan Poles show. But I want to just talk about one thing before we get into our official grades. Richard Long saying, didn't Getsy's offense play calling, offense hold back some of these players? Now, I agree to that to some extent, especially with Jake Tonjes, because Tonjes was the backup fullback, and it seemed like when they switched everything around, they really kind of went away with some of those fullback sets. And I think ultimately that's where you saw less Ryan Griffin. You saw less Jake Tonjes. You saw less of these bigger body fullback tight ends out there. And they seem to then want to go more with the wide receiver. So I thought you saw definitely less desire to have multiple tight ends out there, less 21 personnel out there as a whole. But good finding. But PayPal, it's like
Ah.
it's down to our grades. Now, I hope that it's 125% better because I could tell you what is 125%. That is betus.com. You can go to betus.com, link in the description. And if you click on that, use promo code unbearable. It helps the show out tremendously. And you get 125% back on your first deposit. If you have a betting problem, I think it's 1-800-GAMBLER. Also, just try and win. Try and win more. Overall, I mean, I placed some bets and they did not do well. So, so maybe I might need to call that hotline. But let's go in. I don't bet that much, but let's go in to our grades. So I said last time, I said B+ at the very beginning at the very beginning when we first did the draft because of the way that they traded down. PayPal, I'll let you start, but also YouTubers out there, what do you think? What would you give this as an updated grade? Now that we've seen a year, where would you put this draft class, including the UDFAs? Hey, pal, what say you?
Yeah, I would honestly go with B plus as well. I think something that really factors in, and almost why I'd almost even go A minus, but that makes it really like, okay, must have been a really great draft, is the fact that he was able to do something with like no draft capital. We had nothing, go his way for draft capital, and then he was able to get all these picks. So solely in that reason, I'm like B plus, A minus. Like if he had a full 7 rounds of picks with the first round, I think he could have done so much more. And I think we'll see this his upcoming draft. But we got what, like 4 starters up there, and I think B plus. Like we got, I think Jaquan Brisker, future all pro. Braxton Jones, potential all pro with how he just played his first year. And Kyler Gordon, I mean, he's one of the guys is really stepping into his game. And VELUS Jones, we'll see where he goes with that. But the later round guys were just also just nice little adds to this team that you don't have to pay any money to. So B plus, like nothing too terrible. Like we didn't really miss on a pick, besides those late rounders, and VELUS is still kind of up in the air, but no misses, like no big like miss on a first or miss on a second, which I really like to see.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm kind of staying with that B plus as well, where even though that Braxton Jones played better than what I expected, it's 1 year, right? And
Yeah.
like I said, I kind of expected one person to kind of emerge, and that was Braxton Jones. So yeah, there's nothing too crazy. I mean, the only one was really Sanborn with what he was able to do. But still, with that being said, I still don't feel 100% confident that they're going to say Sanborn is 100% the guy. I think he should get his chance, especially because what he was able to do out there. Like
Yeah.
you saw this defense get transformed. It lives and breathes the hit principle. You got to have him out there. But yeah, I think overall in the 6th round, you really did miss on Ebner and Thomas. Like Ebner was definitely a reach. I saw a lot of people didn't even have him on draft boards because he was a backup running back. But I like the idea of saying, let's take a swing at a home run guy, right? Like I like the concept. That's where to me, it's like a 90, right? It's a 90, it's an 89. Depending on how you grade, it's either an A minus or a B plus overall. But really, I don't mind this draft, especially when you see 7th rounders. Look back to other Bears drafts or other teams' drafts. See what they did in the 6th round. See what they did in the 7th. It's not good. And to be able to draft, I love the drafting of a punter. So I think overall, I'm sticking to my guns. I don't think it turns into an A, but I think this is a good foundation that you're setting up. And hopefully, with the free agency, we can start adding a lot more players, and it takes this team to the next level. PayPal, anything else before we get on our way?
Yeah, just hey, I think we're all excited for this new draft and actually see polls with a first round pick. I
Yeah.
mean, because we had really bad luck with our first round picks for the past couple of years. Besides Justin Fields and Roquan Smith, I mean, it seemed like it was just like, when are we going to get someone good? And it's like almost trade down, our first round pick because we don't want it, So it'll be awesome to see how this draft. Like, we're in control, so we're on the clock too. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I'm excited about our next show. We've already been teasing it. We're gonna be going through Ryan Poles, the good and the bad. We're gonna be real here. We're gonna have hype train Ryan Poles, and we are going to rip Ryan Poles a new run. Like we are gonna be going through both and just real talk on this show. But everyone, thank you so much. Make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube. Also, search for Unbearable Sports. You can download the show and listen to it on all podcasts that you get. Rate 5 stars. Even if you don't listen to us, it helps us out tremendously. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast. We're out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a